Hi, guys! Welcome back to Guided by the Universe. I'm your host, Diana, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about the ego. We're going to talk about how to get past the ego and into our soul's purpose. So hang on in here, it's going to be a good one. All right, so what do you feel like when you take actions out of ego purposes? You feel limited, and you know why? Because the ego is here to keep us safe. If the ego is here to keep us safe, that means that it doesn't allow us to grow. It doesn't allow us to try things out that where we cannot predict the outcome. And it means that it kind of tones down our light so that we don't shine too bright, we don't go out there in danger zone, we don't go out there and face judgment or whatever we could be facing out there in the world. And so we just stay in our confined space, like safe in a glass box. The door is locked and the ego has just kind of eaten the key, and that's about it. That's how you kind of feel when you just follow your ego. You take the wrong decisions because they're just based on safety, they're based on predictability, and they're based on staying the same, staying in comfort zone. And what happens if you do the opposite thing? What happens if you follow your soul's purpose? This is where it gets really, really amazing, because following your soul's purpose is something that I've been doing not for a long time now, because my ego was striking very high as a Leo moon and an Aries rising and a Taurus sun. So I kind of had a lot to work when it came to, ego. And I'm sure that I'm gonna tell you one or two stories about this in this episode, but coming back to the topic, it's funny because following your soul's purpose really makes you wake up with a smile on your face, because you're so excited as to what does this day bring. Like, how can I move forward? How can I grow? How can I give back? How can I serve? And you find answers for that, because that's where your focus lies. Your focus doesn't lie on staying safe, on not standing out, on not, getting too close to a topic that where you could face criticism. So, for example, I have a very close person to me, and she is so scared of online criticism. She cannot take it. She cannot take hate online, but she's a content creator, and every time she posts a piece of content, or better say, before she does, she really thinks about the worst case scenario. She really thinks about, is this something that people could understand negatively and like bash me for it, or is this something that has like no conflict potential at all? And if it has like close to zero or zero potential for conflict, that's when she posts it. But if it could be, controversial, she doesn't post it. And I keep telling her, girl, why do you care about online criticism? Why do you care about those things? And she says, I cannot handle it. Like, I cannot handle online hate. And I'm like, but those people don't even know you. Those people don't have an influence in your real life. They're just on TikTok and Instagram. Like, they have no power or control over you. And she's like, but they do. They will know things about my private life, and I'm too sensitive, and that's why it'll get to me. So that's just like the best example of when you don't follow your soul's purpose, but you follow your ego instead. But I say she just listens to it. And if you listen to what your ego says, as I said before, your ego is trying to keep you safe. It's not trying to harm you. It's like, why would it? It wants to feel safe with you. It wants to feel good with you. And I just decided, like, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, and I'm 26 now. 1 or 2 years ago, I decided that I'm not going to listen to my ego no more. Because what my ego did for me was that it pushed me into a very egocentrical place, where all I cared about was me, myself, and I. and I didn't care about nobody else. About, like, on the one hand, it was like good not to care about people's opinion, but on the other hand, that made me very careless as to how other people felt around me, even like those closest to me. And I was just like, as long as I feel good, everything's good, you know. And that's just not the best place to be in. And I've been like this for a long time, and it was even a lot worse when I was a teenager, because I was a dancer. And when I was a dancer, I wanted to be in the spotlight, in the front row. I wanted to be like on the cover for the event and so on and so forth. And if I wasn't, I didn't take part in the trainings. I didn't take part in the event. That's like how bad it was. At this time, I was like, I think I was 17 before turning 18. That is that was the peak of me living out of ego. And I don't want to go back to that place. Since then, I kept evolving and evolving and evolving, and it's been like almost 10 years of evolving. And it's been like just recently that I kind of just made the switch, that I understood what it means to live out your soul's purpose. And that is, where can you serve? How can you give? Can you enhance somebody's life through just being your authentic self? You don't have to try to be somebody else. You don't have to try to be like the savior of the world and like make people love you because, you give so much to the homeless and you help out kids even though you hate kids and so on and so forth. You know, like, you don't have to try to be somebody that you're not. You just have to be your authentic self. And being your authentic self is the best thing that you can do to help others. And my authentic self is very honest. It's like an open book. That's why I tell you all the things that are shameful about me, that I don't enjoy looking back on, but where I see that I have learned out of it. And because I have learned out of it, I'm sure that it will resonate with at least one person. And I know it did, because I do get feedback, and I absolutely love it when you give me feedback, when you're like, girl, I feel you, and then you tell me your story and we can talk about it in private, and it's good and it's fulfilling and it makes me happy, and it reminds me this is exactly what I'm doing this for. Because by showing that we are all not perfect, by showing your flaws, you sometimes you're the voice for those that are not brave enough, let's say, that are not brave enough to speak out openly about the things that they're ashamed about themselves. But there is nothing to be ashamed about in the first place, because we are all human. We all come with packaging. We all come with we have so many different, such a different background, all of us. And I just feel like it inspires others to be their authentic selves as well, to be their best selves too. And becoming your best self means getting to know yourself better and better and better, embracing everything that you have been, every past version of yourself, because all those past versions accumulated have built you to become the person that you are today. And without those, you wouldn't be who you are now. If you never would have made a mistake, you would have never grown. Literally, like, you cannot grow without no struggle. And that's a fact. So this is your reminder to not be ashamed of what happened in the past, of the decisions you took, of the things you said, and so on and so forth, because what is said and done is said and done. It's in the past. You cannot change that no more. But what you can do is to learn out of your past mistakes and to move on. All right, so your ego is going to hold you back from seeing your authenticity because it's raw and because it hurts. It hurts to do the shadow work of all of this process. It hurts to look at the parts of yourself that you're not the proudest about, and it hurts to kind of be like, I wish I would have done something differently because then I would be in a different position, and so on and so forth. But the past is done. As I just said, we cannot continue from there. Otherwise, everybody would go back in the past and change who they were, and like go back from this perspective that you're in right now, where you know so much more, where you have experienced so much more, and go back to the past and apply the wisdom that you have today in your yesterday's life. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So It makes no sense to beat yourself up about it. It also makes no sense to not do anything different the next time you're put in the same situation about it, because the universe is going to test you. The universe is going to be like, did you really learn your lesson? And if you didn't learn your lesson, it will put you right in the same circumstance, situation, relationship, whatever it is, until you learn the lesson. And when I was younger, when I was a teenager too, like let's say between 18 and 20, I used to date a lot because I was so desperate to find romantic love. I was so desperate to find a boyfriend and like to have this Hollywood romantic relationship that I just like kept dating people for like 2-3 weeks, and then like after like a week or two I had another person for 2-3 weeks, and so on and so forth. And that was always the cycle. We never got out of talking stage. It never got like further than that. And I recognized a pattern. I was like, those guys are all the same person in like different bodies. How can it be? They're all like different zodiac signs. They're all different ages. They all look very differently. They have different ethnicities. How can it be that everybody acts the same? I was the problem. I was the problem, but I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And I used to go to my best friend and be like, oh my God, I cannot believe that he did the exact same thing that XYZ did, and so on and so forth. And he would be like, girl, it's not your fault. It was not you. It's them. And like, of course, from the perspective of a best friend, that's what you're going to say. And that's what you're probably also going to honestly think, because you know your best friend and you love your best friend. So you're like, how can somebody else not love you the way that I do? And I understand that. I really do. But from a growth perspective, if a situation keeps reoccurring and let's say it's a situation that's not very beneficial, then that is when you have to ask yourself, is this really it? Is this really not a lesson that I should learn? Or maybe it is a lesson that I should learn. You know what I mean? So check yourself a bit more often. Because I think that we all could need a little bit more of that. We could all need a little bit more of reflection. And I feel like nobody is like reflected enough. Because the ego is so subtle. And you oftentimes you don't even notice that it is the ego talking right now. And it's not you. It's not your soul. But just remember, when the soul speaks, you feel it in your heart. You don't just feel it in your head. You're not like, oh yeah, I'm right because I thought about it. It's rational. That's like more ego. But if you feel it in the heart and you're like, in my hearts of heart, I feel warmth. I feel belonging. I feel like I am truly purposefully doing something good for the environment, for myself, for others. That's what you're seeking. That's your potential. And don't waste it on your ego. Don't waste it on trying to be the best, the bulkiest, the prettiest, the skinniest, the most adored. Like, that's all gonna pass. It's all gonna pass. And if it helps you, think about your legacy. Think about what you want to be remembered for when you die. What was your life about? Was it about being the prettiest? Was it about getting the most dates? Was it about having the most money? What was your life about? If it helps, journal it out. I have a beautiful journal that I have created. It's called Becoming My Best Self Journal. And it helps you be accountable. It helps you stay accountable, not just like for the length of the journal, but like even beyond that. It helps you write down the things that you're grateful for. It helps you write down what your goal for this day is. How are you showing up as your best self today? And then you reflect on the day. What did you do well today? Because, you know, sometimes we do need a pat on the shoulder, but not from somebody else, but from ourselves. Literally from ourselves, because we don't give ourselves the credit that is due. We often don't. And I use my journal as well quite a lot, every day, 2 times, in the morning and in the evening. And ever since I have it, I feel like I'm a lot more productive in sorts of with my podcast. As you see, it's a video now, with my business, because it is now like in the building again. I'm working on a new website, I'm working on new products. I have been part of a Christmas fair on last weekend. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. And yeah, it's a total recommendation. Like, if somebody else did that journal, I would still recommend it for you, but it's like double nice to know I did it. And I didn't do it from a place of ego. I did it from a place of wanting to serve myself and others, of wanting to help myself and others, because I was looking for this, let's say, perfect journal that I really wanted for myself, and I couldn't find it. And I have quite a lot of journals. And I did journal them out like until they were done, but they still kind of let me feel not engaged. They didn't engage me for much longer than just the duration of the time when I was actively writing in it. And that was about it. But I really feel like my journal is there to stay, and it is there to really make an impact. You can find my journal in the link down below, and if you're watching on Spotify, there is also a link in the description. Have you ever heard the sentence, "Your dreams are too big," or "You're unrealistic," or "That's not even realistic, that's not gonna happen"? I have too, and I'm sure that all of us have. People are always going to want to put you in your place when it comes to your dreams, not because they don't want you to succeed, because that's like what our ego would think, but because they say it out of a place of love. I mean, haters on the internet are gonna say it because they're petty, but like the people around you that love you, let's assume they're not petty, and let's assume that they actually want the best for you. The reason why they're saying that your dreams are too big or that you shouldn't shoot too high is because they want to keep you safe. And they want to keep you safe because their egos are speaking. And their egos want to keep everything safe around them. Plus, if you don't stay the same, you're not the same for the people, if you know what I mean. So let me elaborate on that a bit more. Let's say that you get successful not overnight, but over a longer period of time. You change. You start to like hang around other groups of people. You start earning a bit more money. You start planning on going on longer trips or moving to a bigger city in order to make your dreams come true. And that means that something that is comfortable and that is routined in those people's lives is going to be taken away. And of course they don't like that. Of course they would like things to stay the same. They would want their friend, daughter, wife, whatever it is, to stay the same, because that's where they feel safe with them. That's where they like them. And that's where you are liked in that kind of scenario. You know what I mean? So limitations, limiting beliefs, and like self-doubt are all creations of the ego. They all want to keep you safe in that confined glass box that we talked about in the beginning, so that you don't get hurt, so that you don't get disappointed, so that you don't lose your track. Your soul's purpose and your soul kind of creep in when you go into that daydreaming state, when you get into visualizing, when you get into manifesting and into meditating and into journaling like about the future and the things that your ideal self would do. What would be your ideal life? I do write down quite a bit what my ideal life would look like, and then I try to find ways to make it feel more aligned in my day-to-day life. So for example, in my ideal life, I have this amount of money, I hang around with those kind of people, I have this type of relationship, those are the things that I do, this is the way that I look, and this is the way that I talk, that I walk, that I speak, and that I act. And the more you get into this practice, the more you're going to start to incorporate it. It's not even fake it till you make it. You just start doing it step by step. You cannot go from this today to like the ideal self tomorrow overnight. It's just not going to work that way. And it would be too much of like too much stress on the ego and too much stress on all of your life circumstances. And that's just not sustainable, because the change would be so big, you would just want to go back to normal. You're gonna shock yourself with that. So actually, it's good that our manifestations don't happen overnight, because they do give us a lot of time to reflect until they do come true. And have you noticed that a lot of things that you wanted, let's say like half a year ago, you don't even think about now? You don't even think about that you still want them, or you're like, thank God that never happened. You know what I mean? So I've been there and I've done that. But when you don't limit yourself, when you don't let the voice of the ego get in the way of you and your dream, that is when you feel like you have wings and you can fly right and straight to your goal. I have recently let my ego get in the way and kind of limit my experience. So, as I told you, last weekend, there was this beautiful spiritual winter fair, like a Christmas kind of fair, but just like with spiritual kind of little shops, and it was outside and it was really, really cold, but the people were all so nice, and it was all just like this spiritual community, and I got to know so many beautiful people. But right before the event, in the same day, right before the event, I called my mom on FaceTime and I was like, Mom, I want to cancel out. I don't want to go, because I have found out that my stand is right next to a person's stand that has her established, let's say, esoteric shop since like 3 years, and she has so many beautiful products, and she's like so much further than me, and my stand is right next to hers, and all that I have are just like 12 t-shirts and 3 journals, and then like a poster that says that I also do tarot card readings. And so she was like, why do you take away your joy even before you went there? Even before you got to know all of those people, even before the event started? You are literally comparing yourself to others, and you're taking away your own joy. Go out there and see what happens. You're gonna be very surprised. And I didn't really understand why she said that, maybe just because to cheer me up. And I was still feeling a little uneasy when I got there, but I built up my stand, and so slowly the event started. As soon as the event started, it didn't take long. Maybe it was 10 to 15 minutes. The event started at 3 p.m. A lady came up to me, and she was like, can I please get a tarot reading? I saw you do tarot readings. How much do you take for them? And I was like so surprised to have like somebody right in the beginning. I was like, we can go over there. It's so and so, and it's 15 minutes. Are you ready? And she was like, yeah, I'm excited. Let's go. So we go into the reading, and right during that reading and after that reading, that lady is like, you really gave me like the answer that I was looking for, the confirmation that I was looking for. This was exactly what I needed to hear right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then she gave me a big hug, and she said, you're doing such an amazing job. Keep doing your readings. Keep elaborating on those, because you're doing it so well. And that made me so happy, because I was like, she wanted my time. She wanted to talk to me about, let's say, my expertise. She wanted a tarot reading. She didn't want a t-shirt or a journal. She wanted a reading. Then I go back to my stand, and I was really happy about it. And I didn't even have like a moment to be happy about the reading, because the next person was like, do you do tarot readings? Can I please get one? And I was like, yeah, of course. Let's go to the table. And I kid you not, I did readings that entire day until 9:30 p.m. where we started to like close down everything. I even had like 2 girls that didn't have time to wait any longer, because there were people standing in line to get my reading. And that made me so happy and so fulfilled, because Those people were not interested in my t-shirts at all. Fun fact, I did not sell one single t-shirt, but I did sell 2 journals, which was cute. But I sold, or I did a lot of readings the whole entire day. If the day was longer, I would have done even more. And it just kind of showed me where the focus of my shop should be a lot more, and that is the service, not necessarily the product. And my mom, I told her about it. She was like, yeah, of course, there are millions of t-shirts out there. There are hundreds of journals out there, but there are not that many tarot card readers out there. People want to talk to you. People want you to reassure them. They want to know information about themselves that they might think they know, but they need a reassurance for. So yeah, you did a great job. And I was just like so proud, because after having my ego get in the way and taking away my joy from the fair, I kind of just embraced that I was there and was like, I'm gonna make the best out of this day. Even if I sell nothing, I'm still gonna have a good time. And by getting out of my comfort zone, I embraced all of those readings that came my way. And I'm so happy that I did. Like, honestly, I could give tarot readings all day long. I could give them all day long. And the best part about it is the feedback that I get. It's the feedback where a lady started crying because she was like, this is all so beautiful and this is exactly what I believed, and like it's so good to kind of hear confirmation from you about it, and like thank you. And so that is when I know that I'm doing something for my purpose, or like in the direction of my purpose. I'm fulfilling my soul's purpose. And that is the type of energy that you want to follow. That is the type of fulfillment that you want to feel. And trust me, the worth of that is endless. There is literally nothing more worthy of spending your time on living out your potential on. Like, this is exactly why you have been put on this planet, to fulfill that exact purpose. Alright guys, if you love the pod at least half as much as I do, then please rate it 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcast, like and subscribe to the channel, and have a look on my website. It's called guidedbytheuniverse.com. Thank you so much, and I'm sure that everything will turn out just fine as long as you're guided by the universe. Bye!